Hello all you wonderful people, this is honeymaysims and welcome back to my channel and another speed build. So today I am so excited to share my part of the hashtag TS4 Colossal Castle collab hosted by the amazingly talented castle queen herself, Juby Sims. So a big shout out to her, she's truly amazing and has some of the prettiest creations I've seen. And I also want to thank her so much for letting me be a part of this collab with so many great simmers and for letting me try out this new style which I've never done before. So I am going to put the list of all participants in the description, so don't miss out on their creations on Instagram. I promise you don't want to miss out. So yeah, as you already can see, I've started off with a bit of structure already because you know, stupid me did not check if I was recording, but fear not, there's still a lot of exciting bits left and you'll see how everything turns out in the end. And today is also extra special because I am going to do a Q&A with questions from you guys, which I've gotten on social media, so I'll give some shout outs to you and hopefully you can get to know me a little better as well. So I'm actually a little bit late to posting my castle because the posting date was actually the 24th, but I asked if I could post a little later and it was totally okay. And yeah, so last week I had a lot of things I wanted to post and I decided to postpone it a little. So if you didn't check it out, I did another speed build last week and I wanted to spread out my content a little on Instagram because I'm not the biggest fan of constantly posting, you know, every day, but give you some air between my posts. But yeah, anyway, so as I mentioned earlier, this castle style is completely new to me, so when I was first starting out to build, I needed to look up some inspiration and eventually I came across this photo. So I tried my best to kind of replicate the shape of it and I just had so much fun just doing a completely new thing and using some items I usually never use. And as you can see, I also use a lot of debug objects, and especially from Get Together, like these ruined but beautiful walls that I put up against the buildings and also the walls surrounding this area. I also used the debug railing from Get Together and I put it around the roofs, and yeah, there's some glass roofs here as well. And there's going to be lots of beautiful vines against the walls, a marketplace in the middle of the plaza where they are selling things like fish, ingredients, vegetables, pottery and stuff like that. And it was fun to imagine this kind of scenery and also do some research, and as well for the interior. In the middle of building this, I also purchased the My Wedding Stories pack and also the Country Kitchen and Courtyard Oasis kits, so I felt like those fit nicely in with this castle. And I just couldn't resist not using them when I first got them. And I also went a little ham on the colored wedding windows and put them like everywhere on these buildings, as you're going to see eventually. So at the moment I'm just using some base game windows, but I think the colored ones look really nice and adds some personality. And they also might make the buildings resemble cathedrals as well, because I remember at least to the one I went to on Mallorca, they had these beautiful colored windows. There's also going to be a river running around the castle, because I think that's pretty common with castles actually when I looked up photos. And yeah, so I went with that idea and I thought it would be perfect to include some bridges in here as well. And I have to admit, I haven't watched many like period or medieval dramas to kind of understand what rooms are needed in a castle like this, so it was mostly based on photos I saw or just whatever I felt like adding, to be honest. So there is going to be a main building with a place for, you know, sort of like a community gathering place which resembles a church. So it has one standing book, coffin, and the organ musical instrument from the Vampire game pack up on a platform. And one step down there are going to be rows of wooden benches. So it does kind of resemble a church. And I would imagine there would be funerals and weddings held there. And next to it, there is going to be a double bed room with lots of different stuff, like a lot of stuff I just found, like pottery and the architecture table, some shelves and a working desk, and yeah, just a lot of clutter, really. And on the second floor of the main building, there is going to be sort of like a throne room where I used one of the items from Get Famous, which actually belongs in a movie studio, I'd presume, but it fits perfectly for this theme, so I decided to include it there. And yeah, I call it a throne room. So it also has some benches and people can sit there, and yeah, for special occasions, I would think. So I do end up using some items from Get Famous, and on this floor there will be a royal office, if I might call it that, which leads up to the royal bedroom. In this building there will also be another bedroom, kind of for the kids who are maybe into some art. So I did put an easel there and some paintings, and I think the bedrooms turned out quite nicely. And yeah, I also used some of that Paranormal wallpaper in, I think, the red and blue swatches, and I just love how that wallpaper looks. There will also be some bathrooms scattered around, so yeah, that concludes the first building. And the next one has a tavern at the bottom, so that is also a place where the locals could come together and enjoy a drink or some snacks and just, you know, chat after a long day. And in a room next to it, it has the Don't Wake the Llama table, so I imagine it would be kind of like a medieval game room, quote unquote. Yeah, so that is also going to be a place to gather around. And a level up, we'll find the grand dining room and the kitchen connected to a bathroom with some laundry stuff. So I do believe a royal family would, at least in the medieval times, would have, you know, people to work for them. I think that's kind of the case in modern time as well, in castles. But yeah, so they would work in the kitchen and, you know, bring their food and everything, do laundry, all these type of things. And the upper floor in this building will be the servants' bedroom. So they would have their own bedroom and also bathroom. And yeah, so they would live in this castle as well. It's because maybe it would be, you know, a far travel from where they really live, if that makes sense. But yeah, at least they live in this castle along with the royal family. The outside has some areas such as the marketplace, as I mentioned in the plaza. It also has a small graveyard. So I did find some debug graves from Cottage Living, I think, and not the Vampire game pack, but yeah, I think it's the Cottage Living one, and just some difference. So I put together and it would be, you know, like a small graveyard. And I think also I added a coffin, so you'll see how it ends up in the screenshots, and also if you do download this on the gallery. There is also a place where I imagine a traveling fortune teller would stay in their tent, and they have this little, you know, place to grill their foods and get warm. And yeah, also this place for their crystal ball. There will also be a spot for hanging up laundry and also a chicken coop and mill. So yeah. I think I totally forgot to mention that this is built on the 64 by 64 one Windenburg estate lot in, you guessed it, Windenburg. So I was actually recommended to build on this lot by some of the other participants in this collab, and I don't regret it at all. So it is basically the biggest lot size in the game, and there's such a beautiful scenery which is perfect for a castle. And at the point I'm recording this voiceover, I haven't playtested this yet, but I will before I upload it. So I'm crossing my fingers I don't have to do any drastic changes or else it just has to stay as like an aesthetic build. But I'll try my best to make it functional. And yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say for this castle, I think. Or if I've forgotten anything, I will mention it at the end of this if I have time for it. But yeah, finally we are going to get started with some of your questions. So I asked you guys to hit me up with your questions on social media, and I'll just start with some pretty simple ones, but very appreciated ones. So the first one is from AI Builder on Instagram. It says, "Hey May, how are you today?" And also from Bestie Broody on Instagram as well, says, "How are you?" So thank you so much for asking about how I am. I'm doing really great. It's currently Easter break when I'm recording this voiceover, and yeah, I'm kind of on break from work, and the weather's really nice these days. I recently went on a long walk. I think it was around 2 hours long and my body was, it really felt that to say the least. And I've just been building in Sims, I've been editing some videos and photos and all that good stuff. So yeah, thank you again for asking about that. And the next one is from Michaela Sims YT on Instagram. Hello Michaela. And she says, "What do you do for a living, or are you still a student?" So I actually graduated with a bachelor's degree in digital media and design last year, and I'm currently working part-time for this small event agency in my city. So I kind of have a lot of different tasks, like running our social media channels, taking photos at events, creating registrations, and customizing digital invites, making PowerPoints, updating our website, social engine optimizations, and like all things like these. So there's kind of like a wide spread of areas here, which fits really nicely for my degree. And yeah, so I'm kind of in charge of IT in this company, and it's all kind of new at the same time, even though this is what I've been studying. It's a totally different thing to work with it, you know, in a serious manner. Kind of scary to, you know, you have all this responsibility, but at the same time I like that it's a part-time job, so I do have time to do my hobbies as well, and, you know, do sim stuff and run my own socials as well. And I think I'm lucky to be able to work just part-time as well, even though it would be nice to work full-time for the money's sake. So yeah, thank you for that question, Michaela. Hope you're doing good. And the next one is from Musavi_1989 on Instagram. I hope I said that correctly. And it's just a comment that says, "You are amazing." Thank you very much, that's really nice to hear. And the next one is from sim.smyrna on Instagram. I'm not really sure if I pronounced that correctly, but I think Smyrna or Smyrna, something like that, I hope. Anyway, hi, how are you doing? And your question is, I really like your editing so much. What is your magic trick? So first of all, thank you so much. I'm really flattered that you like my editing because I love how you edit your photos. And as some of you might know, there's a handy thing called Reshade that you can download to kind of get a filter when you're playing. I think Dove by Kindle Spice is a pretty popular preset for it, at least for the version I'm using, which is the 3.08 version, if I'm not entirely wrong. So yeah, it's the one I use as well. It also gives some really nice shadows. So first I take screenshots using this preset. Second, I put my photos into the PC version of Lightroom, and here I have created a preset to give more brightness and saturation, mainly to just brighten up the photos more and give it more colors as well. So this is also something you can do in, for example, Photoshop, but I have just gotten used to doing it like this. So yeah, I'm just continuing doing it. And yeah, thirdly, I use Photoshop. So here I crop my photos to 1080 by 1080 for Instagram, and I also have something called Topaz, Denoise and Clear in Photoshop to sharpen my photos and give it a nice smoothing afterwards. So this is actually a technique I have from when I was gifting K-pop on Tumblr. So I have kind of just brought it with me to Sims photos as well, because I was really satisfied with how it was for like my K-pop stuff, and not just GIFs but graphics as well. And yeah. And yeah, that's basically it. And sometimes I add a sun flare or sunlight effect if it fits, and it might seem like much, but it's kind of like an automated process at this point. So I hope that was an okay answer to your questions. Thank you so much again for your question. And the next ones are kind of similar in a way, but I'm going to say them all. So Lava Cake on Instagram says, where do you get your inspiration for your builds? And the next one is from Kevin Christ on YouTube, and the question is, what inspires you when you start your builds? The third one is from Barry Simming on Instagram. Do you have a stable source of inspiration, or do you find it practically anywhere? So to answer these questions, I would like to say that some days I obviously feel less inspired than other days, and it's basically impossible for me to build anything. And then it's just nice to, you know, take breaks and just clear your mind. Sometimes a good night's sleep is what really helps. Like when I'm starting a build one day and I'm not finished with it, but I go to bed, and the next day when I continue it, I have a lot of new ideas that I want to implement. To go back to like the inspiration part, I do feel like a lot of my inspiration comes from Pinterest mainly, and I often get ideas of what I want to build on certain lots, so I try to search for what I want. And yeah, so I would say that is my stable source of inspiration, like Pinterest. And I used to find inspiration on Instagram a long while ago too, but right now I just find Pinterest much easier and organized to use. And yeah, sometimes I also use Google, especially if it's for, you know, a specific style, and just to kind of get, you know, a varied source of inspiration. But I would say Pinterest is the one that I use the most. And I also can, you know, you can just scroll through it, and according to the algorithm and everything, you get posts based on what you've previously seen and looked at and pinned. So I do get a lot of varied posts, and then you can just like pin it to a board, and yeah, I can save it for later if I find a lot that fits for it. So yeah, I would say that's it. Thank you so much for your questions. I really appreciate it. The next question is from Sims on YouTube. Hello, how are you doing? And the question is, when did you start playing Sims? And when did you start making builds and posting them? So I've been playing Sims since I was around 5 or 6 years old, I would say. So it's been around 20 years, and I started really early. Now I do have 2 older siblings, so an older sister and an older brother, so I feel like I was kind of influenced by them to kind of try playing games, and I often watched them play games as well when I was a kid, both on PC, but you know, PlayStation and those kinds of game consoles as well. I remember my family, before like everyone had their own PCs and stuff, we had our designated computer room where we had a desktop. I think that was pretty common back then, that you would have one room and it's for the computer, or like the office. And this is where I used to sit and play Sims 1. And I remember my favorites were Making Magic and the Superstar Pack. I had so much fun playing it. And since then I've played Sims 2, 3 and 4. And I've always just been obsessed with Sims, so I played it on console as well. And my definitive favorite, even to this day, is Herbs in the City on Game Boy Advanced. And some of these handheld games I actually played on an emulator on my laptop, because I did not have a Game Boy Advanced. So I think that was just the easiest way, and it didn't take that long to download either, but you would have to kind of stay wary of some websites when doing that. But luckily it all went okay with me and my computer. And I also loved busting out on Game Boy Advanced, My Sims Agents on Wii, and also Castaway and the regular Sims 1 busting out, and Sims 2 on PlayStation 2. And yeah, you can really hear that I have played a lot of Sims throughout my life. And out of the regular franchise on PC, I think Sims 4 is actually my favorite, which might be an unpopular opinion. Even though I do miss the gameplay style from both Sims 2 and 3, those were my favorites, and it made just gameplay so much more fun. So I do miss that in Sims 4, but I've just played the most Sims 4, and I love how the building and the cast is. It's easier to use, at least building. And yeah, you can download so much custom content, and there's so much stuff you can do without really paying for it, you know, if you download the free stuff. And I have to say that even though the state of Sims 4 in 2014 wasn't good per se, and I didn't play it as much, it has developed a lot, and yeah, it turned out to be one of my favorites in the franchise. Like, I remember we didn't even have pools or even toddlers, and yeah, can you believe that? It was like back to the Sims 1 days when the baby just grew up to be a child, and it was really weird. And yeah, I'm glad we have come this far, but obviously there's still so much more the game could improve on. And yeah, so back to the question about when I started building and posting them. So the funny thing is that even though I watched Simmers build on YouTube, I didn't really build much myself, and mostly to see what houses I could download and use for my own Sims, since back then I mainly did gameplay, and later when I went down the CC rabbit hole, create a sim. So during that long period of me playing Sims, I've never really been a builder. Even in the, Sims 1, 2, or 3, I didn't touch like building at all. So it actually wasn't that long from when I started building to posting them on Instagram. So as many other content creating simmers, I started posting during COVID, and it must have been around October, November 2020, I think. And I think very coincidentally and with much luck, I started off well, and this with help from both fellow simmers and these community sharing pages. And I think that has a lot to say for my growth on Instagram. So if you're new on any social platforms, I'd definitely recommend tagging community pages in hope for them to share and to also interact with others with similar interests. So while doing this, you also meet so many great people and you create friendships. But it also gets, the algorithm going to your benefit. And you also get inspired and you learn so much more. So from when I started to now, I've gotten much better at building, I'd say. And especially using things like Toolmod and just regular build by CC. The possibilities for what you can make are endless. And yeah, so from starting on Instagram in 2020, I have also expanded to other platforms such as Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, and TikTok even. And I who never used TikTok before, it's suddenly the place where I've gotten the most reach actually with, I would say that's also with a lot of luck, and I'm not really sure how. But yeah, I think I have the luck on my side. And I think that's pretty much it for this question. So thank you so much, Noah, for asking this question. And I think just to kind of go a little deeper on this question, I want to talk a little about who inspired me to start building. So as I mentioned just before now, I started watching a lot of Sims content on YouTube many years ago. It must have been just a few years after The Sims 4 was released. And I started out with creators such as The Legacy and who is now known as James Turner. RIP The Sims Supply. You will be missed. Just kidding. And I watched a lot of gameplay and, those challenges and everything. And I remember loving The Legacy's Parenthood Let's Play and the drama-filled Hamptons Let's Play. And after a while I got very inspired by both Simlicy and Evelyn, so I watched them from just when they had around a few thousand subscribers, and I think it's so amazing and so deserved to now see how big they've gotten, and they've definitely inspired me to build. And I think especially seeing Evelyn, who is Danish, do well is also inspiring as a Norwegian myself. And yeah, these are just some who stands out in my own experience, though there are a bunch of talented simmers out there, and I could mention so many people who are now currently inspiring me across all platforms, but I think that would take really long. And then we come to the final question, and it is from Car Miller on YouTube. Hello Car, how are you doing? So your question is, how does it feel to inspire simmers all around the world with your amazing builds and incredible videos? So yeah, thank you so much for that question. It's not something I think about really, because I feel like I get a lot of inspired by others, and I just don't think about the fact that I'm, or I could be, inspiring others. But at least whenever someone compliments my creations and that there's someone who genuinely like what I make is just amazing, it truly feels heartwarming, and I really couldn't ask for anything better, like this very supportive community and yeah, it's I'm not trying to get emotional. I don't want to get emotional. But so if I can be an inspiration to others, it feels really unreal because I started off just doing what I like and posting my stuff in hope for others to find it interesting. So I genuinely feel thankful to everyone who has supported me from both the beginning and continues to support me, or those who just now are finding my stuff and likes it. I'm really grateful for all of you who think my stuff is worth, following and watching and liking. So yeah, thank you so much for that question. It feels really heartwarming. And that's basically all of the questions I got. So again, thank you so much for all of your questions, and hopefully you learned something more about me. And yeah, if there's anything else you're ever wondering about, my DM on both Instagram and Twitter are always open, and you're always free to ask me anything in the comment section here as well, and I'll try my best to answer them when I have time. But yeah, so I still have like around 15 minutes left of this build, so you kind of just have to bear with me and hear me talk a little more, but I'll try to talk you through the rest of this build. So we are currently working on the interior, and you can see that I have been working on the marketplace. I have used a lot of, medieval looking items and debug objects to try and to capture this look and feel of how I imagined a medieval marketplace would look like. And so I have tried to include these stalls and market tables, and yeah, like try to include a lot of items that you would sell and buy in these. So, like vegetables and plants and ingredients for cooking, and other things like pottery and some crafts and those things. I'm not sure how many crafts I included, but at least pottery, and I believe also some wooden figures that you can create with the woodworking table, and just other things like flowers, and yeah, also fishes, even though it would probably be not the best idea to, sell those in like the heat in the sun, but at least here it looks, it's kind of just the idea that counts. And it looks nice, hopefully. And in this plaza as well, I included a big fountain. I believe the fountain from my wedding stories that had a nice look to it. And around this I also put some instruments. I think maybe the violin, like the handcrafted one, or the guitar. I'm not really sure right now, but I put those around the fountain to kind of, maybe some people would play the instruments, so there's, music there, and it gets more fun and cozy. And if I remember correctly, maybe I put an easel there as well, so someone can paint. And yeah, just those little activities around there. And as you can see right now, I am working on the tavern, which is on the first floor of the left building. So I did use the bar from Discovery University, I believe. So this tavern is kind of like a nice place for everyone to get together. And you've also seen that I've been working on the kitchen and dining rooms. So for the kitchen, it was an entirely new style for me that I haven't really done before, because I often love to go either modern or, use those counters from Parenthood maybe that has some cute swatches. So for this kitchen, I had to try and make it look more old. So I do believe I went for the stove that has the, wood below it. and eventually, I'm not sure if I put it in yet, but I put in the jungle adventure fireplace, so you can cook in there as well if there's anything. So I did try to include that little detail as well. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but I think I saw some inspiration photos that had a fireplace in it, so I think that fireplace was the closest one I could come to something similar that I saw. So I did include that one there. And I also just put a lot of bags of ingredients, some tea, the tea set. I think I used the one from the Courtyard Oasis kit first, but eventually I replaced it with the one from my wedding stories because I thought it fit. It was more accurate to what style I wanted to go for, so I do switch that one out. But yeah, so as you can see right now, I am working on this, church-like building. And on the second floor, there's like an open area with the railings around it. And I also started the royal bedroom in one of the towers, I believe in the middle tower. So it's kind of high up and you have to go up the stairs, and yeah, to get up to that bedroom as well, you have to go through the office, and there's also a bathroom connected to that office, so it's close by if you need it. And in the second tower, as you can see here, there's also going to be a bathroom, and if you walk up that stairs again, there's going to be the kids' bedroom that also has some art supplies like the easel. And yeah, I think that those kids would be more artistic and they want to explore that, so yeah. You can really see how everything is coming together. And I also, for this tower, I try to use this decoration. I think that comes in, I think it's actually a pipe, like a fireplace pipe. What is that called in English? I'm not sure. I think I have to check it up. What is that called in English? Let's see. I didn't even remember what it was called in my language, so I had to search that up as well. But yeah, it's called a chimney. I just could not remember what that was called. But yeah, so those items are actually chimneys, I believe, but I put them all around this tower, so it looked like, or it looks similar to what I saw in my inspiration photo as well, because I think there was something similar, so I tried to make that detail or recreate that detail here as well. And I think some of them might be glitching out, like the shadow is kind of weird and stuff, but I tried my best to that it wouldn't have that shadow and that it's not dark and the sunlight is, coming to it. But yeah, I do enjoy that little detail as well, so it didn't look too, clean or bland really on the outside, so I'm glad I decided to use that. And there's also these like roof details that I used on both of the buildings, but on the main building, I think because I opened up that area on the second floor, it was glitching out as well, because when I went up all of the levels, some of them disappeared and I didn't even realize it when I was taking my screenshots. So I kind of just had to wing it a little bit. I think I used the tool mod to kind of raise them up so they would be visible, but yeah, unfortunately the the light and the shadows are kind of weird, so it looks like it's a different color, but in reality there isn't. But yeah, so it looks kind of weird, but I don't think there was anything else I really could do, so yeah, I hope it doesn't look too weird. And yeah, and also some of these rooms I did use the Paranormal wallpaper that I've come to like a lot actually, so it has some really pretty and also darker swatches. So I believe I used the blue and red one in this castle to kind of mix it up with the rest of all of the brick or like the stone, because there is a lot of stone in this castle, both on the exterior and inside. And on the first floor of the church-like building, I would say, or the main building, there is also a bedroom, so I put 2 single beds in there, and I was imagining that either the priest or like the person running the ceremonies and stuff on the first floor in that place just next to it would be sleeping, or there would be kind of like an extra bedroom for anyone passing through, or like an adventure or something like that, because I also added an artifact table that came with Jungle Adventure, and there's some, you know, pots in there and those kinds of things, some bookshelves, and yeah, so that's what I imagine that bedroom would be used for. But of course you can make anyone sleep in there. And in this entryway it is kind of opened and there isn't a lot of stuff there, so I just put a statue in the middle there, and there are some benches so you can sit, but yeah, it's just like a very open space, and it's also where you can look down from the 2nd floor if you want to. And I'm just working a little bit on the royal bedroom, as you just saw, and in the end, when I was just decorating and finishing up the rooms, I wasn't recording, so unfortunately you aren't going to see just how everything turns out on video, but I do have the screenshots in the end, so you can kind of get the feeling of how everything turned out. But as always, you can also find it on the gallery if you want to download it and see for yourselves. But I do think I ended up using some packs. I think I used at least all of the expansion packs, and then some game packs like the My Wedding Stories, Vampires, Jungle Adventure, I think Dine Out, and the Outdoor Retreat pack. And for stuff packs, I did use Paranormal, Nifty Knitting, and Laundry Day. And for kits, I used Courtyard, Oasis, and the Country Kitchen one. But yes, so we are finally coming up to the screenshots after this long video, so I hope it wasn't too bad and that you enjoyed the Q&A and also watching how this castle was made. And also please remember to check out the hashtag as well, so you can see what everyone else has made in this collab as well. I think everyone would really appreciate it. And I'm also really excited to see what everyone else has made as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to checking out what everyone has made. But yeah, as always, you can find this build on the gallery. My ID is Owlrick, but you can also find it under the hashtag honeymaysims. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more content, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on anything in the future. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!